Hello everyone, in this video we'll understand the methodology of econometrics. There are 8 steps involved in the methodology, so let's get started and understand each step in detail. The first step is statement of theory or hypothesis. It's a very simple step, that is we just have to write the statement of theory that we are going to test. For example, here we have taken the Keynes fundamental psychological law which states that consumption of a person increases as his or her income increases but not as much as the increase in his or her income. In short, he postulated that the marginal propensity to consume MPC, which is the rate of change of consumption for a unit change in income, is greater than 0 but less than 1. So we have to empirically show that whether this statement is correct or not. So if it is correct, that is with the help of econometrics, if we are able to show that this MPC is greater than 0 and less than 1, we'll say that Keynes theory is right. So second step is to write or specify the mathematical model of consumption. This equation 1, which is y is equal to beta 1 plus beta 2x, is an example of a mathematical model of the relationship between consumption and income, which is called the Keynes consumption function in economics. The variable on left hand side is known as the dependent variable, that is the consumption expenditure y, and variable on the right hand side is called the independent or explanatory variable, which is x and is income in this equation. Beta 1 and beta 2 are the parameters and are respectively the intercept and slope coefficients, and beta 2 is also the MPC, that is marginal propensity to consume, and whose values lies between 0 and 1. So this is the specification of mathematical model. Now this purely mathematical model of the consumption function is of limited interest to the econometrician because it assumes that there is an exact relationship between consumption and income. But we know economic relationships are generally inexact. Like in this example, in addition to income, other variables can also affect consumption expenditure, right? So our next step is to modify this mathematical model into an econometric model. So this equation 2, which is y is equal to beta 1 plus beta 2x plus mu, is known as the econometric model of consumption, right? Where mu is known as the disturbance or error term and is the random stochastic variable that represents all those factors that affect consumption but are not taken into account explicitly. So it shows, like you can see here in this graph, all the observations that are not following the linear relationship between consumption and income. That is, these values are showing that there can be some other factors also that may affect consumption except income. Okay, so except income, there can be other factors also that affect the consumption pattern of an individual. So this econometric consumption function implies that the dependent variable consumption is linearly related to the explanatory variable x, income, but the relationship between the two is not exact. That is, it is subject to individual variation. So these are the individual variations you can see in this figure. Now fourth step is to obtain data. So why we want to obtain data? Because to estimate the econometric model, that is to obtain the numerical values of beta 1 and beta 2, we need data. So whenever we say that we are going to estimate a model, that is we are going to find out the numerical values of beta 1 and beta 2, that is intercept and slope. So we have obtained the data on y and x, where y is the aggregate personal consumption expenditure and x is the GDP, which is a measure of aggregate income. So the data is from 1982 to 1996, right? Now that we have the data, our next task is to estimate the parameters of the consumption function. So after obtaining the data, our next step is to estimate beta 1 and beta 2. So the statistical technique of regression analysis is the main tool used to obtain the estimates. I'll discuss this technique in my upcoming videos. So using this technique and the data, we obtain the estimates of beta 1 and beta 2 as minus 184.08 and 0.7064. So this is beta 1 and this is beta 2. The hat on the Y indicates that it is an estimate. The estimated consumption function, that is a regression line, is shown here in this figure. As the figure shows, the regression line fits the data quite well in that the data points are very close to the regression line. So this regression line is fitting the data very well. That is, all the data lies very close to this regression line. From this figure, we see that for the period 1982 to 96, the slope coefficient is 0.70, which means that an increase in the real income of $1 led on average to an increase of about 70 cents in real consumption expenditure. We say on average because the relationship between consumption and income is inexact. Not all the data points lie exactly on the regression line. So we can say that according to our data, the average or mean consumption expenditure went up by about 70 cents for a dollar's increase in real income. So that is, if we increase this real income, that is Xi, by $1, we can see that the consumption expenditure is also increasing, but not by $1, by less than $1, that is by 70 cents. So here we see that MPC is greater than 0 but less than 1. So this is our fifth step where we have estimated the values of beta 1 and beta 2. Right? Now sixth step is hypothesis testing. Now we have to develop suitable criteria to find out whether the estimates obtained are in accord with the expectations of the theory that is being tested. Keynes expected that the MPC to be positive but less than 1. In our example, we found out that the MPC to be about 0.70. But before we accept this finding as confirmation of Keynes' consumption theory, we must inquire whether this estimate is sufficiently below unity to convince us that this is not a chance occurrence. In other words, is 0.70 statistically less than 1? If it is, it may support Keynes' theory, right? So with the help of hypothesis testing, we'll check that whether the estimate of beta 2, that is we have obtained this 0.70, is actually statistically we can say that less than 1 or not, statistically significant or not. So with the help of this statistical inference or hypothesis testing, we can say that this 0.70 is less than 1 or not. Such confirmation or refutation of economic theories on the basis of sample evidence is based on a branch of statistical theory known as statistical inference or hypothesis testing. So this is our sixth step where we are going to check whether our estimates are significant or not, right? So next is forecasting or prediction. If the chosen model doesn't refute the hypothesis under consideration, we may use it to predict the future values of dependent or forecast variable y on the basis of known or expected future values of the explanatory or predicting or the predictive variable x. That is, if we found out that the value of MPC or the value which we found out as 0.70 is statistically significant, that is, it is not refuting the hypothesis of Keynes, then we can use that model for forecasting and future prediction, right? To illustrate, suppose we want to predict the mean consumption expenditure for 1997. Since we had the data till 1996, now with the data or with the estimated model till 1996, we want to predict or forecast the value of dependent variable for the year 1997. given the value of X, that is GDP, which is $7,269.8 billion. So since we have the estimated equation of Y minus 184.07 plus 0.7 into Xi, so we have put the value of Xi in this equation and we have got the value of Y hat for the year 1997 as $4,951 billion, right? So given the value of GDP, the mean or average forecast consumption expenditure is about $4,951 billion. Okay, but the actual value reported in 1997 was $4,913.5 billion. Therefore, the estimated model overpredicted the actual consumption expenditure by about $37.82 billion. So, with the help of our model, we predicted the value to be 4,951, but actually when we got the value, we saw that it was $4,913 billion. So we can say that our model overpredicted the actual consumption expenditure. So by about $37.82 billion. So this $37.82 billion is known as the forecast error, right? Secondly, with the given values of MPC, it provides a valuable information for policy purposes. So, for example, with the help of this MPC, one can predict the future course of income, consumption expenditure, and employment following a change in the government's fiscal policies. So, if we have this value, if we obtain the values correctly, then it is very helpful tool for government's fiscal policies, right? So the last step is using this model for control or policy purposes. So suppose further the government believes that consumer expenditure of about 4,900 billions of $92 will keep the unemployment rate at its current level of about 4.2%. What level of income will guarantee the target amount of consumption expenditure? So if government believes that 4,900 billions of expenditure will keep unemployment rate at 4.2%, then how much consumption expenditure, then how much income will guarantee this consumption expenditure, right? So we have the values of Y, beta 1 and beta 2. We can estimate, or we can just with the help of simple mathematics, we can get the value of X. So by solving this equation 6, we get the value of X as 7,197, that is an income level of about $7,197 billion given an MPC of about 0.70 will produce an expenditure of about $4,900 billion. So we can say that an estimated model may be used for control or policy purposes. By appropriate fiscal and monetary policy mix, the government can manipulate the control variable X to produce the desired level of the target variable Y. So this was all about the 8 steps of the methodology of econometrics. So thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, kindly like, share and comment.